Welcome back to episode number 65 of Winning the Division. I am your co-host, Ryan Smith. Alongside me, former NFL tight end Ben Troupe of the Titans, the Raiders, and the Bucks. As we are kicking off, Ben, as week 3 of the NFL season is almost over and week 4 just around the corner. But we will start with, as we do every week, our first things first segment, which during the season is our players of the week and not players of the week or teams sometimes is the case for some of these teams. I will be a good co-host and let you go first. Who are your players or teams of the week? And then on the not category, players or teams of the week.
My player of the week this week is Carson Wentz. I mean, you look at what they was able to do against the Cincinnati, Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals team. I mean, who haven't played for a while, 14 to 20, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, I think the thing what's impressive about Carson Wentz was everybody kept saying, okay, now that he's no longer a starter, he's been a backup for a long time. I think 6 teams in 6 years. How was he going to look? He looked really, really good. Now, it was a team effort. Make no mistake, it wasn't just him. It was a team effort by and large for the Cincinnati Bengals. But the hardest thing to do, Smitty, is to come off the bench when you haven't been in the game in a long time. I mean, I think last year he played in the last game of the year when Denver, when it was I guess the third and fourth string Kansas City Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos. But I was very, very impressed with Carson Wentz. A guy that's, let's face it, extremely high draft pick. Signed a contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. It just didn't end up well. And since he's left Philadelphia, I mean, he's been a lot of places. I mean, I think and to land in a place right now with Kansas City last year, like I said, has been in Indy, but to now be in Minnesota with a guy in J.J. McCartney who you don't know how hurt he's going to be. And who knows, can he have that Sam Darnold type effect on the team? I'm not saying he's going to play like Sam, but I got to give credit when credit's due, and I'm giving it to Carson Wentz.
And then do you have a not player or team of the week?
I mean, do I even got to say it? But I'm going to say it. I know I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Michael Penix. Here's why. Here's why it's Michael Penix. Here's why. I keep saying this, Smitty. Everybody wants to talk about what Michael Penix can be. This is essentially his rookie year. I mean, I know we already had, the great Wes Durham on. He was talking about, I mean, he shared my sentiments. He was like, you really don't know when it comes to a guy like Michael Penix. Lefty, dealt with the injury bug a lot in college, was able to finally have a really, really good year. And, UW. And, went to the national championship, lost, but then was able to become a first-round pick under Raheem Morris. It's the decision-making for me. Late throws that end up as interceptions. Throwing the guys that aren't there that ends up as interceptions. Throwing the ball late, staring guys down. So for me, it is Michael Penix. Now, once again, I am not placing the loss on him. This was a group effort as well. But Smitty, if you're going to get the praise, you also got to get, the criticism. He was a guy that, high hopes for this team. And like I said, there was a Kirk Cousins sighting at Bank of America. And Smitty, let me tell you something. If that's how the team's going to be playing when you're showing the Bank of America, keep your behind home. We don't need you in the facility. We don't need you in Bank of America. Take a picture with Trey Boston. Shout out to Trey Boston, by the way, former UNC, Tar Heel. But for me, it is Michael Penix because I think sometimes now he's my one. He's my 1A. I have a 1B as well.
Okay, go ahead.
I do not know what is going on with C.J. Stroud. I don't know what's going on with him. C.J. Stroud is not looking like year 3. Now, remember going into the season, they gave him Christian Kirk, who was former Jacksonville Jaguar, got to play against him. He got Miko Collins in that, but he's not looking like himself. Collins had a really, really nice double move to get a 50-yard touchdown, but it's really much to do about it. It's like he's really, really indecisive, kind of gun shy, kind of afraid to kind of, let the ball go. So for me, it's definitely Michael Penix, 30-0. And my team is obviously the Falcons. My goodness. People say, what about Cincinnati? They don't got Joe Burrow. Atlanta is at full strength. You gave up 30 points. No points at all. So Atlanta is my team and my not-so players of the week. I'm keeping the quarterbacks this week. Like I mentioned, Michael Penix, C.J. Stroud, and my player of the week is Carson Wentz. I mean, very, very impressed with a big-time blowout win, over Cincinnati.
All right. Those are good picks. I like those a lot. I'm going to go with you said Carson Wentz already. So I'm going to go with I was actually going to go with the Minnesota Vikings defense. I mean, they put up a 30 points in fantasy, but that's not even what I'm referring to. Isaiah Rodgers had himself a day, 4 turnovers on 8 Cincy first half possessions for this defense. Rodgers had an 87-yard pick six. After the 2-minute warning, he punched the ball out and scored and jaunted 66 yards for another score. On the next drive, Rodgers had a forced fumble. And then towards the end of the final, and so in the final 2 quarters, the Vikings D gave 1 touchdown and 4 total sacks they got on the day. This Vikings defense was smothering all over the field there for their team. It just was a complete team effort. What a day by that Vikings defense. So here we go. 4 sacks. There we go. My notes finally loaded. 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 defensive touchdowns. I mean, what a day for that Minnesota Vikings defense. That is my team of the week. I'll give you a player as well, just because I want to remain consistent. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just keep finding ways to win, despite their offensive line being in a mash unit at this point. Mike Evans going out with a hamstring, Chris Godwin still out, and Tristan Wirfs obviously still out, as they said, on the offensive line. They were up 23-6 in the fourth quarter against the New York Jets, and all of a sudden it's 27-26 after a blocked field goal in return for a touchdown by the Jets, and the Bucs walked it off with Chase McLaughlin's field goal to win it. Absolutely, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my team of the week because, yes, they should have beaten the Jets by more. Yes, I got that. But they still are finding ways to win, and that is a sign of a good team. And they do play in our division, obviously, with the Falcons and Panthers. But we obviously know what the Bucs can do. So the Bucs are my team of the week. The Vikings are my kind of unit of the week, is what I'm going to say. I don't really have a player of the week necessarily because there was a lot of people who kind of stood out kind of on equal pairing. But by not team of the week or player of the week, because it's okay. I've got a 1A, 1B as well. So I like your CJ Stroud pick. I was actually going to pick him, so I'm going to go with somebody else because you already picked him. I'll go team first. How about the Dallas Cowboys defense? I mean, still since Micah Parsons has been gone, Matt Eberflus had a perfect opportunity going back to Chicago to kind of put the brakes on Caleb Williams, and they couldn't do it. And the Cowboys defense is struggling right now. Trayvon Diggs does not look healthy. He does not look like the same player that he did just a couple years ago. And so the Dallas Cowboys are in for a long season on defense, especially. We'll see about the offense. CeeDee Lamb now might be out for 3 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain, so that's obviously not good. We'll get more to him as we go through the recap. So the Cowboys are my not so team of the week, and then my not so player of the week. And I hate to do it because this is your former team. It's actually a coach. It's Brian Callahan of the Tennessee Titans. I mean, what is he doing? I mean, he is. Oh, I think he's on over his head. I really do. Some guys are just better coordinators than head coaches, and I think he might be one of them. With Will Levis last year, that was a disaster. And then Cam Ward's obviously a rookie, so he obviously can't be expected to do everything in his first year. But Callahan he doesn't look like he's ready for the job. I'm sorry. I hate to be that blunt, but I think that's the reality there.
No, I know you know that's being and I know you going through Callahan. Another team too. I mean, I'm sorry. If you got to give Minnesota Vikings defense love, I will give the Cleveland Browns defense a lot of love. I mean, no pun intended, they show no love to Jordan Love. I think they had 5 sacks on the day. And they came out with the dub. So incredible honorable mention to the Cleveland Browns team, Cleveland Browns defense. They held Jordan Love and company in check, 5 sacks. I mean, but continue about Coach Brian Callahan. Like I told you, everybody always wants to talk about, and I'm gonna keep saying this every week. Everybody always wants to talk about Cam Ward and what he's lacking. Everybody wants to talk about what this team is lacking, which is no identity. We want to rank players all the time. Every quarterback will get ranked 1 through 32 if you are a starter. Every player on defense or offense will get ranked 1 through 32 based on the position that you play. When we gonna start ranking these coordinators, offensive defense? When we gonna start ranking these head coaches? When we gonna start ranking these schemes? When we gonna start ranking all these things that have to? But once again, Smitty, going back to what Tom Brady said to Colin Cowherd, where does Brian Callahan rank his coaches? He's a bottom feeder. He is nowhere near in the top 20, not even top 25, maybe like 26 to 32, closer to 32 than 26. Then where's his offensive coordinator rank? Where's his quarterback coach rank? Where's his scheme rank? Because yes, Cam Ward made an ill-advised throw the very first throw of the game against Kenny Moore, which is ill-advised. But every week, it looks like Cam Ward goes out there with a bunch of sand in his hand. He throws on the ground and tells guy, you go here, you go here, you go. Because there is no offensive identity whatsoever. Calvin Ridley is the highest paid skill guy, on the team. You can't tell. I mean, it's just a lot going on with the Titans. And I think when yes, we get it. When you draft number 1 overall, that means you had the worst team in the league the previous year. But you're supposed to have some level of, I don't know, structure or continuity in 2025. There is none. And like I say, they got rid of Rand Carthon because former GM who they thought was off his head, who bring in a GM that said, they asked him, "What's your strategy?" And he said, "Draft, develop, and retain." What? Well, that's everybody's strategy. You want to draft a guy, yeah. You want to develop a guy, yeah. You want to retain him. That's all. Well, not Cincinnati. We don't know what they do. They barely want to draft and pay. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. We talk about Brian Callahan, Smitty, for this reason too. There is no relief in sight. Like because every week, a Cam Ward will make a great throw, and when you're doing the game, it's great throw by Cam Ward. Okay, well that's one throw out of how many throws? That's one play out of how many series?
Yeah,
I don't see it getting better for him until Brian Callahan is a year 2. I don't know how you deal with that, but it's going to be a long season with a team like Houston not playing well, Jacksonville finding a way to get wins, and the Indianapolis Colts being the class of the entire division right now.
Well, let's get into the week 3 recap. That was our first things first segment where we presented our players and not so players of the week. Well, our week 3 segment, I'm just going to go ahead and get into the recap as I said. So we'll go through the list of games as we do every week. I'll go ahead and do it. First one, let's just get this one out of the way. I know you got a lot to say. The Carolina Panthers, my Carolina Panthers, take down the Atlanta Falcons 30-0. Bryce Young missing his starting center, which I've said was an upgrade. Cade Mays dominated. And Chandler Zavala was a little worried about him, but the former teammate of Ike Ekwonu, our left tackle, decided to step up in a big way. Bryce Young got rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or less against those ex-pass rushers for the Falcons. The 30-point win for the Panthers, the largest since week 14 of that 2015 Super Bowl season, also coming against the Falcons. That score was 38-0 back in 2015. So Panthers over the Falcons 30-0. And yes, shout out to Trey Boston, who was in the suite behind me, enjoying that W as well. I'll just give the floor to you, Ben. Because for the Panthers, I'll be honest, outside of the Trevor Etienne punt muff that gave the Falcons good field position, John Parker Romo ended up shanking the second field goal of the quarter at that point. I'd say my only blemish on this game for the Panthers, if I'm really giving constructive criticism, I think they could have scored more points, if I'm being honest. 30, they could have gone like 44. If I'm being, they could have put a little more gas to the pedal. I think they kind of slowed up a little bit. That was probably my only criticism on the day, specifically when it comes to the Panthers. So I will give you an open floor because I know you got some things to say. What are your thoughts on your Falcons in this result?
This game came down to taking advantage of your opportunities and blowing opportunities. So 30-0, right? So the first thing you want to do is go to the box score and you think to yourself, man, Bryce Young had to be balling.
Nope.
16-24, 121 yards. No touchdowns, no kicks. The running game had to be crazy. Trouble. 17-73, no touchdowns. Rico Dowdle, which I think is going to be really, really good. 10 rushes, 30 yards and a touchdown. Bryce Young, 2 for 8 for 1 touchdown. So, like a little bit over 100 yards rushing. 30 for 110, 3.7 yards carry, 2 touchdowns. Well, being where all the points come from? Well, you got to pick 6. Right? You got to pick 6. Right? Then you had 3 field goals. 3 or 4 field goals. This is what I saw in this game. The same way we want to talk about Brian Callahan and no structure for a guy like Cam Ward. There is no structure right now for Michael Penix. I know that you sent me to where my former teammate of mine, Ike Hill, your former Florida Gator, wide receiver coach for the the Falcons. He got let go. The only guy, the 2 guys you could trust on offense, the 2 guys, Drake and Bijan. That is it. You cannot trust Kyle Pitts, right? You cannot trust no other receiver. And I think the thing about this game that was frustrating. Look, let me start and finish with this. Shout out to Carolina. I kept telling you, Smitty, before the season, right? There is something about certain teams that can either help you get your swagger back, help you get your momentum back. And if you are Bryce Young, that's for him. It's Atlanta. I don't know what it is. And I am not mad at a guy like Bryce Young who finally said, okay, you telling me I don't have to play as well on offense and we can still win the game? Yeah, because it's a team effort. Yeah. Just don't put the ball on the ground. Keep you ahead of the chains. Let the run game, still facilitate for the passing game and go out there, and make good decisions with the football. Who did not do that, Atlanta? The muff punt, it's like it was no muff punt. It started with the kicking game, right? You get rid of Young Waku, which
you gotta love Princely, your former Florida Gator, tweeting out justice for Young Waku. I don't know if you saw that.
I mean, because the thing about it is, Smitty, a guy that's been there for so long that's meant so much to an organization that, he's showing that he's human. And the first sign of trouble. This is what I think is going on too in Atlanta, and ain't nobody saying it. You get rid of Young Waku, that's a veteran. Boom. You get rid of Grady Jarrett and you send him before the season. Boom. Now you getting rid of Ike Hill. I think they're trying to make, and they're already getting the excuses ready for a guy, Raheem Morris. When you say, "Well, I had to change my kicker after the 2nd game of the year. I had to change my receivers coach after the 3rd game of the year." No, you got to develop some level of structure. This was a thrashing. J.C. Horn is nice, man. Now, some of these calls on Ted McMillan now was ticky-tack. Now, the game, it wasn't going to decide the game, but some of these pads, Ted McMillan got to know if he can't separate on the sideline, it's going to be a bunch of hand fighting. It's usually going to go to the side, on the receiver side. But I was very, very impressed with McMillan, man. I really, really was. I think the thing about him, Smitty, that I'm starting to see more, he's gaining more and more confidence because I kept telling you, he's not a burner, but he going to catch the ball. The only drop I think he had was when they tried to run the little screen to him. They tried to side on it to him. He dropped, but you can't even tell. So this is all about Carolina. This is about the real football team, not the one that flew in from Atlanta or Flowery Branch or wherever they flew in from. And if you are Raheem Morris, I'm gonna keep on saying this. What do Kyle Pitts be doing? We sat there and talked to Wes Durham. And we talked about how tight ends can really, really hurt Carolina because the middle of the field is wide open. Doesn't matter. Kyle Pitts, nothing against him.
He had a few
catches. I'm still trying to understand what the plan is for him because it's nothing solid. They're trying to get the ball to Drake May. I don't understand why they don't try to get the ball to Bijan Robinson more in space because he's a really, really good pass catcher, really, really good runner. But 30-0 is one of the rarest things you're going to see in football. It's definitely in NFL. And when you're looking at it, you're saying, dude, what happened? One momentum for one team, bad decision making and no momentum for the other team. And next thing you know, you look up and it's a 30 burger. And you're right, y'all did leave some points out there. It could have easily been a 50 burger. It could have easily been that. But I think sometimes when you look at a game like this, hopefully, Carolina can use it as momentum because everybody kept thinking, "Oh man, this is going to be a really, really good game because of what Atlanta defense showed against Minnesota." Nope. The team that came in with momentum did not walk out with momentum, and the team that came in with none snatched momentum and held on to it the entire game. So shout out to Bryce Young and company. Shout out to shout out to Coach Canales because, like I said, this is a division win. Everybody's standing up right now. At Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I kept telling you, the only team in the division that could even put pressure on Tampa is Carolina. It ain't Atlanta, and they just tread water over there.
We'll get to New Orleans.
They just tread water. Yeah.
And so yes, to recap before we go on to the next game, Ike Hillard, wide receivers coach, reliever of his duties. TJ Yates will be taking over those duties. who was the quarterback coach, TJ Yates, former UNC quarterback. DJ Williams will be now the quarterback's coach there in Atlanta, and for TJ Yates going to the wide receivers coach side. And finally, the Falcons also said they will be bringing in a kicker. Look for Michael Badgley, former Chargers kicker Michael Badgley, to be coming in as John Parker Romo competition this week. So those are your Atlanta news as we get through the 30-0 game there in Charlotte. Let's go to Cleveland. The shocker of the week, the stunner of the week, not to Ben Troupe though, but to Ryan Smith it was. Cleveland Browns take down the Green Bay Packers 13-10. The Packers may not want to quite book those Super Bowl 60 tickets quite yet. Browns was the first time any NFL team has come back from a 10-point deficit with less than 4 minutes remaining and won without needing overtime since the Titans in 2023.
I mean, don't Jordan Love and company do this every year now? Like, Jordan Love and company are real similar to they're like the Ravens of the NFC. They'll beat down a team that is just as good as them, if not better. And they'll lose to a team that's far inferior to them. But this is all about the Cleveland Browns defense. I mean, I know earlier we were talking about Minnesota Vikings defense as well. You should, but we talking about Carson Wentz. I mean, a sack. I mean, you talking about Myles Garrett, a half a sack. You talking about Malik Collins, a sack and a half. You talking about Aiden Huntington, half a sack. And you talking about Alex Wright. That's 5 sacks. But then you're talking about Grant Delpit with a pick. I think what happens too, they neutralized Jordan Love. 18 to 25, 183 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Josh Jacobs, 16 to 30. Here's the thing, between Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, Jordan Love, Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, that's 31 rushes, 81 yards, 2.6 yards a carry. That means you are making them one-dimensional. We are completely shutting down the run game. We'll make you one-dimensional. But I got to say this. No one talks about how great of a Coach Stefanski is. It's not always going to show up in the win column, Smitty, but he's a really, really good coach. I mean, Joe Flacco, 40 years old. Jordan Love probably grew up watching I grew up watching Joe Flacco. They're on the other side of the field. But that's what happens when one team is a laughingstock, that is the Cleveland Browns, and another team is picked to be the Super Bowl, winner or, contender after 2 weeks in the season. It's all about the Browns. Jordan Love and company, they realized they weren't going to go undefeated. In Cleveland, they're going to be scratching the claw for every single win. But that's the difference of being competitive and not. And if you are Jordan Love and company, you're going to be against a team like Cleveland. Got a good defense now. I mean, Grant Delpit at safety, Myles Garrett, at defensive end. You talking about Denzel Ward over there. Denzel Ward, I mean, he ain't top 5, but he's a top 10 corner. Make no mistake about it. But this was all about the Browns. The Browns almost took all the headlines away from Atlanta and Carolina. It didn't take them all. But when you see that, you're like, dang, man, Carolina. I mean, so shout out to Cleveland, shout out to Coach Stefanski. If you are Jordan Love and company, you definitely bounce back. But also lets you know this is the National Football League, people. Anybody can and will be beat on any given Sunday. And Cleveland get to go. Now Cleveland get to go back and say, hey, man, we're not going to do much damage in our division. But when it comes to the guys in the NFC, I mean, what do we got to lose? I mean, what do they got to lose? So shout out to Cleveland Browns defense for shutting. I mean, they shut Jordan Love and company down. And as you mentioned, to be able to come back, with 4 minutes left, down 10 points and to win the game, great for Cleveland, head scratcher for Jordan Love and company.
Before I get to the next game, we already talked about Carolina. Tampa's going to be coming up in just a few minutes here. Just a yes or no, or whichever one you want to say. Through 3 weeks, is it a 2-horse race right now for Offensive Rookie of the Year between Emeka Egbuka and Ted McMillan right now? Is it a 2-horse race right now?
Yeah. I mean, Emeka. What Emeka got over Ted is he got touchdown.
Right.
But when they play each other, not that it's rookie versus rookie, it just goes to show you. It goes to show you. Mike Evans' impact, not on the NFC South. You bring in a guy like Emeka, you guys going to get a Ted. It shows you that when you got a guy because Emeka is not as tall as Ted. I think Emeka like 6'1", 6 feet 6'1", But I think the thing about Ted and those guys is when I get to come in with a guy like Ted who's played a lot of football, we always talk about this, how many games. But yeah, I've been look, Mecca is on my fantasy team. I got to put him in the roster, take him off the bench because he's hurt me the last couple of weeks of the season. And the thing about Ted, he's you can trust him. Like he's gonna be where he's supposed to be, making the plays. The touchdowns will come. But I'm very, very impressed by both rookies right now. Unless there's another rookie out there doing something that I don't know. Yeah. I'm very, very impressed.
Let's keep it going in Jacksonville, where the Jacksonville Jaguars take down the Houston Texans by a score of 17-10. CJ Stroud has not thrown for 250 yards in the game since week 11 of last year. CJ Stroud, as you mentioned at the top, is definitely struggling right now behind that new offensive line.
CJ Stroud, 25 of 38, 204 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He threw the ball 38 times. He had 25 completions though, which ain't awful, but he only had 204 yards. This is what hurt Houston. Nick Chubb, 9 rushes, 38 yards. Jay Mark, 6 rushes, 27 yards. CJ Stroud, 4 for 22. I mean, that's gonna hurt when the now. Nico Collins, 8 catches, 104 yards. Dalton Schultz, 5 for 39. Christian Kirk, 3 for 25. Then you go over here to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, he didn't put up crazy numbers. He was 20 of 40 for 222 yards and a touchdown. Travis Etienne, 16 of 56, 1 touchdown, and 6 for 21. And that was the game. This game came down to one team being comfortable, that being Jacksonville, and the other team being very uncomfortable. Will Anderson is one of the young premier pass rushers in the National Football League. He shows up. He plays with a motor. Him and Danielle Hunter, Petrie, the do-it-all safety for Houston had a big pick. 2 things I don't understand about Jacksonville right now, and I got to say it. I don't know why they keep playing Travis Hunter on offense. Either they don't have a plan for him or he's just out there. And the curious case of Brian Thomas Jr., I don't know what is going on with him. It's not like they're not trying to get him the ball, Smitty, because they are trying to get him the ball. He got a case of the drops right now. The case of the drops is up here. It's not with these. It's with this. Something going on in his mind right now. He's going to have to get it together. Travis Hunter is on a milk carton. When you go to your favorite grocery store, you're looking for milk. You say, man, I'm looking for the Travis Hunter brand. Why? Travis Hunter don't make milk. He's on a milk carton. And it's not his fault. They haven't found ways. Like, listen, let me say this. If somebody missed a tackle, that's not you. Missed tackles is defense not coming not coming to form and being able to make the tackle. Travis Hunter is just out there on offense, and I don't know what he does. I think he's going to serve more on defense than offense. But CJ Stroud, once again, you can't live off the first 2 years in the National Football League. It's what you're doing now. Nico Collins being your number 1 receiver, Christian Kirk coming over from Jacksonville. You don't really have anybody else that can really hurt, that can really stretch the field. Nico Collins had a real nice double move on a 50-yard touchdown pass to get their long touchdown. But I don't know what's going on with the confidence of C.J. Stroud, too. I mean, I know we keep talking about these quarterbacks and being above the head like Michael Penix, guys of that nature, but I don't know what's going on with C.J. Stroud right now. This was a game that was very winnable. I mean, it was a big time snooze fest. I mean, who's going to make a play first? But shout out to the tight end for Jacksonville doing strange things. Strange seems to be. I mean, with Brian Thomas Jr. trying to figure out what he wants to be, and Travis Hunter just making sure they got 11 against 11. He's been the go-to guy, for Trevor Lawrence. But this was all about Jacksonville getting a big win. I like the fact that Liam Cohen is not afraid to actually go out there and coach Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is looking okay. He's not looking bad. He's not looking good. He's looking okay. But it's always easy to go back to the tape when you're winning. So this is all about Jacksonville. And if you are Houston, D'Amico, huge problem right now. Because when the offense is not scoring points and the defense is playing okay, that's a sign for a long year. I guarantee you this. I don't think D'Amico Ryans is anywhere near no high steep because of what he did in his first 2 years. Definitely ahead of schedule. But Smitty, with what's going on in Indy and the fact that you just got beat by Jacksonville, if you lose to Tennessee It's going to be some rumblings because I think now, you know what they never start with the player. They end with the player. They start with the coach. We'll see what happens with these Texans moving forward.
The battle of the backup quarterbacks in Minneapolis saw the Minnesota Vikings with a 48-10 drubbing, and I don't think that's even I think they got the doors blown off, is probably the better term. 48-10 over the Cincinnati Bengals. 34-3 halftime deficit was tied for the largest in Bengals history. Back, they were down 31-0 to the Lions back in 1970.
I think the thing about the Browning situation, everybody was like giving him more than they should because of what he was able to do against Jacksonville. And you realize now, I mean, that was a good win, but it was Jacksonville. You ain't taking nothing from him. 19-27, 140 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. And once again, here go the running game again. P. Ryan, 4 for 21. Brooks, 5 for 17. Chase, 1 for 9. Browning, 1. That's when the running game is not. I mean, it's cast with a friendly ghost. It's going to be a long day for any offense, but definitely with a guy in Jake Browning who, like I said, they took all the win that they said really, really fast. But we talked about earlier with this Minnesota defense. But before I get to that Minnesota defense, Carson Wentz, pass, 14-20, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. What you like about it now, now Jordan Mason, 16 rushes, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That helps. But you knew they was going to run the football on a guy like Carson Wentz. And Justin Jefferson, 5 for 75. T.J. Hockenson, 5 for 49, 1 touchdown. But the defense won. I mean, you had 2 interceptions. I mean, you had 4 sacks. I think this goes back to what you said earlier too, Smitty. Isaiah Rodgers. I don't know what you ate before the game, sir. Man, I want to eat it again. I mean, you're talking about fumble recoveries for touchdowns, punching it out. You're talking about interceptions for touchdowns. Defensive touchdowns only lead to great things for the entire team, not just the offense. That's an extra offensive possession that the offense did not have to come out there, and that's what I think about Minnesota. That they did kind of like what they did in 2024. Smitty, you bring in a guy. Last year was Sam Darnold. This year is Carson Wentz. We know, while the new quarterback is trying to get going, let's show him we could be an asset. So this is all about Minnesota. I mean, sorry, Cincinnati, but Jamar Chase is going to get his numbers, and there's going to be much to do about that.
In fantasy, but we'll move on there.
Yeah.
In New England, Pittsburgh takes down the Patriots 21-14. That saw the Patriots turn over 5 times in this game, but it was Aaron Rodgers who passed former teammate Brett Favre to move number 4 all-time in touchdown passes at 510, passing now only trailing Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and, of course, Tom Brady.
Drake made 28-37, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Hunter Henry, 8 for 90, 2 touchdowns. Here's the thing. Stephon Diggs, 3 for 23. That's not going to help. The Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, as you mentioned, went to 4th all-time, 16-23, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. DK Metcalf experiment. You got 3 catches, 32 yards. But this came down to defense again. Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh is known for defense, known for it. But they had Drake May running for his life, and it just worked in their favor. I will say this though, Pittsburgh is still lucky too. Pittsburgh has been playing good, not great. You kind of still waiting on your investment when it comes to guys like Darius Slay, like Jalen Ramsey. Those guys, cause the other team fits, but Pittsburgh is not going to be able to stay in games with their defense. You waiting on Aaron Rodgers is 41, about to be 42 years old. If he hasn't turned 42 yet, and while he's breaking records, he's looking 42, 41, 42 years. That's how he's looking out there. Mike Tomlin obviously has a tremendous amount of respect for Aaron Rodgers because of the Super Bowl that he lost was to Aaron Rodgers. I think that was in 2009. It wasn't even in the 20. It was nowhere near in the 2020s. But we'll see what happened with Pittsburgh. But this was very uncanny. This was very unlike any Mike Vrabel coach team. His teams play hard-nosed football, and they don't beat themselves. They beat themselves on Sunday. And I know it's a team effort when it comes to when it comes to turnovers, but they're gonna hate. Well, they hated today's meeting because Mike Vrabel kind of under that bill. He got coach on the Bill Belichick. They don't pull no punches, Smitty, and they tell no lies. So it was probably ugly. They said, "Listen, put your thick skin on today now, because we gonna be coming at you." But Pittsburgh gets the win, and once again, New England, when you're trying to figure out what their identity is with the Dolphins and the Jets, and and obviously Buffalo. This is the one that you could have won if you would have just limited the turnovers and not beating yourself.
Let's keep it moving. The game of the day, in my opinion, the Philadelphia Eagles take down the Los Angeles Rams 33-26. That saw the Rams blow a 26-7 lead in this game. The Eagles come back from that 19-point deficit that I just mentioned. Their largest comeback win since week 15 of the 2010 season, the game known as the Miracle at the Meadowlands 2. But Ben, this game ended on they were already winning, but then Jordan Davis, for good measure, good Lord, that man blocked the field goal and had some, I think he's down 15 pounds or something from college. And he looked like he was down like 50 pounds the way he was moving there at the end of the game. But 33-26, Los Angeles Rams in a battle of undefeated teams. Philadelphia.
If you want to know what makes Philadelphia Eagles dangerous, look no further than this game. Right? Saquon Barkley, if I would have Saquon Barkley, 18 rushes, 46 yards. They shut Saquon down. Jalen Hurts, 9 rushes, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts, pedestrian numbers, man. 21-32, 226 yards, 3 touchdowns. There was an A.J. Brown sighting. 6 catches, 109 yards, and a touchdown. Devonta Smith, 8 for 60 and a touchdown. Dallas go there, 1 for 33 and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 4 for 9. But once again, this is about defense. This is about defense. Bond comes up with a big interception, but this is about perseverance. And perseverance, for those of you who don't know, it's being stable it's being steady in an unstable situation. Everybody is waiting on a team to beat the Eagles to validate what they already think about the Eagles, that they're not that good. Well, they really are, because the Eagles find a way to get it done. They are the best in the National Football League at adjusting to any diverse and crazy situation and trying to come out with a win. If you are the Rams, you are shaking your head saying, "What happened?" This is the best way to beat the Eagles, right? Make them have to battle from behind. And just like you said, just when you thought the game was all over, here comes Jordan Davis, not only blocking it, picking up and scooping and scoring. And there's a big man moving. And it was a very, very impressive team effort from the Eagles, because it took everybody. It took all 4 quarters. When they was down, Smitty, everybody was thinking, okay, well, it's almost going to validate the Rams almost beating them a year before, in Philly. But you talking about what? 19 to 7 at the half. Then the Eagles scored 14 in the third, 12 in the fourth. But yeah, it's the Eagles. Nick Sirianni, like him or don't like him, he is the best coach for the Eagles, because I think the spirit and persona and reputation of the Eagles, you can see it all in their head coach. He's gonna show every emotion on that sideline, but he believes in Jalen Hurts. He believes in Saquon Barkley. He believes in Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is the guy who I think they picked up his team player option in the offseason. They didn't give him an extension, but they did pick up his option. He come back in really, really good shape, and he's paying dividends. So shout out to the Eagles. And if you are the Rams and Sean McVay, that's what they keep saying. You good, but never great. Can't really get over that hump. This is only the 3rd game of the year, so it's not going to decide your season. But this is one you should have won and not lost.
Let's go to Tampa Bay. That saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers move to 3-0 with a 29-27 victory over the New York Jets. As I said earlier, they were up 23-6 in the 4th quarter. Blocked field goal by the Jets on Chase McLaughlin, returned for a touchdown, made it 27-26 late, and then the Bucs had to get a walk-off Chase McLaughlin field goal to get the win. Mike Evans left that game with a hamstring injury, as I said earlier. He had 140 yards through the first 3 games of this year. The Buccaneers veteran is on pace for 793 yards in 2025, a total that would snap his 11 straight season with at least 1,000 yards.
Tyrod Taylor, it's like we keep talking about these backup quarterbacks. Tyrod Taylor, 26 to 30, 36, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Taylor also, had provided eight rushes for 48 yards. He was the leading rusher for the team. Garrett Wilson going to give you his numbers. Garrett Wilson 10 for 84, 1 touchdown. And then we talk about Baker Mayfield, 19 to 29, 233 yards, 1 touchdown. Irvin had 25 for 66. Baker Mayfield also had 4 for 44, 11. Ibuka, 6 for 85. Shirley Shepard, 4 for 80. Mike Evans, 4 for 33 and a touchdown. This came down to poise. And I think for the Tampa Bay Bucks team, they're real similar to the Eagles to where they're not out until they're out of it. This is a crazy ending, but Baker Mayfield is establishing himself as a top 5 quarterback in numbers and play. Yes, it's not always going to be pretty, but I think for a guy like Baker Mayfield who wants to let the world know we're not going anywhere. No, I'm not Tom Brady by no means, but no one is. No, I'm not going to be spoken about as a top 5 quarterback, like a Lamar Jackson, like a guy, with Joe Burrow is out right now. We talking about Josh Allen, talking about Justin Herbert, and in some circles, Patrick Mahomes. But you should start Baker Mayfield. Last time I checked, took Cleveland to the playoffs and beat the brakes off of Pittsburgh, right? And then they get rid of next year, if I'm not mistaken. What have they had since then? Deshaun Watson, he ain't playing. Who? Oh, Joe Flacco, he's 40. Who? Kenny Pickett, he's traded. Dylan Gabriel, he's a backup. Shedeur Sanders, he's a backup. Oh, okay. So all the credit goes to the Bucks because once again, Smitty, when you got the best culture in your division, you understand culture is what I am when we are at our worst, not at our best. At their worst, they're still better than most teams. And at their best, they're beating some of the best teams. So I think, once again, if you are the Jets, you gave a great effort. Aaron Glenn and company are going to find a way to win some games this year. They thought they had one this year, but the Bucks, they just stay poised. They don't let the situation dictate them. They dictate the situation, and they come out with a win. So shout out to the Bucks.
We talked about this briefly this morning, but for people who maybe saw Baker Mayfield's comments after the game, talk about that really quickly. If anyone had saw those comments, he talked about Steve Wilkes, former head coach in Carolina, interim head coach. And basically Baker said, this was personal. Hassan Reddick, a former Jet, and Steve Wilkes, my coach in Carolina, the one who cut me. I'll just be honest. As a Carolina fan, I can tell you, Baker was the one that asked for his release.
Thank you.
Steve Wilkes did not cut him. Baker was the one who asked for his release, but he acted like Steve Wilkes was the reason why he's not in Carolina, and he obviously wasn't with the Jets, and the Jets are getting that shade. So anyway, yeah, real quickly, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, just like I told you earlier, Smitty, for what? Like, what's the point of saying it? Number one, you're not being truthful. Like we can source these things. Baker, you can't just say stuff and people not gonna source it because you're trying to make it seem as if people are doing something to you. Coach, you went up to Coach Wilkes, said you wanted out. They let you out. Number one. Number two, what are you bringing this up for? This wasn't an ugly divorce. They didn't draft you. They was giving you an opportunity to still make NFL checks. They was giving you an opportunity to try to look for Carolina. To do for Carolina what you're doing with the Bucks.
Carolina because they didn't want him anymore.
Yeah, so I think the thing is sometimes we just want to create controversy because it makes it sound better. It makes the story sound better. Baker, no one did anything to you but give you a chance. Remember that? I'm giving you a chance. Now, I'm gonna keep saying this. I'm not a fan of players having anything negative to say about their previous team, regardless of what happened. It ain't gonna always end the way you want. But you own a bunch of teams, right? Why didn't you say nothing about the Rams? Didn't you play for the Rams? Why didn't you say nothing about Coach Sean McVay? That ain't how you became over there with the Bucks. So I don't understand certain things, and that's one of them, Smitty. You're trying to create smoke where there isn't fire. Enjoy what you're doing with the Bucks. Keep it about the Bucks, and stop trying to snatch headlines. Come on, Baker. Now, I'm supporting you, not that you need it. I'm rooting for you, not that you need it.
Right.
But I'm talking about you when you say stuff that is, what's the word I'm looking for? False. That's not true. Well, let's just make it a non-story. Yeah. Now people are going to get to ask you about it. I'm just saying. Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. I just got to get that out in the open. The Indianapolis Colts went to Nashville and emerged with a 41-20 victory over your former team, the team that drafted you, the Tennessee Titans. Indianapolis started 3-0 this year now, 103 points in the first 3 games of this year, tied for second in team history. They scored more points in their first 3 games in 1967 and back in 1958 as well. They scored 103 points in their first 3 games. So, and I knew this today. Who is the only Colts quarterback? The only one to start 3-0. Not Andrew Luck, not Peyton Manning. That would be Daniel Indiana Jones over there in Indianapolis.
18-25, 228 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor took his cape off. 17 rushes, 102 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's the game. Forget what they did. That's 28 points. That's the game. The game is over. Let me tell you how the game started. Cam Ward threw a ball late to Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore plays for the Colts. Touchdown. All right. That's 35 points. So one guy accounted for 21. That's your running back. The quarterback accounted for a touchdown. That's that, you know. And then you got a pick 6. What has been the theme in week 3? Pick 6s. And now, I know you're saying, well, Ben, what did Cam Ward do? Well, I'm glad that you asked. You go to the other side of the ball. Cam Ward, 23 of 38. That's a lot of throws. For 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Tony Pollard, 16 of 45 and a touchdown, right? Chiggs, Okonkwo. They just called him Chig the tight end, right? I mean, he showed some flashes. Here's the problem, Smitty, and I'm going to keep saying this. Calvin Ridley, your number 1 receiver, 1 catch for 27 yards. Why is it every week we talking about Ted McMillan, regardless of what doesn't happen with Carolina, he is what? Showing up in the box score. Why? Because he got to get used to being that safety blanket. He got to get used to getting open. People say, well, Ben, Calvin Ridley got to deal with double coverage. Ain't nobody doubling Calvin Ridley. No one, I'm not releasing that safety. I'm putting the corner on it. Playing zone behind that. But this is all about the Colts. You know what Daniel Jones is making Anthony Richardson look like right now? Not like a bust, because I don't think he's a bust. That he wasn't ready. You see, Daniel Jones played a lot of football at Duke, and I was at that 2019 draft in Nashville where Kyler Murray was the number 1 overall pick. You had guys like Cleveland Farrell. You know what was the 6th pick in that draft? It was Daniel Jones. Now, I was discharged everybody else. I'm like, a Duke quarterback is going 6 overall? Daniel Jones understands how to play within a scheme, get the ball to my playmakers, improvise when I need to, and get out the way. I don't need. That's all the scheme is. Keep us ahead of the chains. Don't do things that hurt the football team. Get the ball to my playmakers. Trust my defense, and now they're 3-0. So you're telling me Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers, what's the other name? Matt Hasselbeck, Matt Ryan. None of these dudes did it. Andrew Luck, none of them doing it. Because once again, Smitty, Anthony Richardson never thought that his biggest nightmare would be Daniel Jones, but I kept telling you this. Daniel Jones is not better than Anthony Richardson. Daniel Jones saw what Joe Flacco was able to do when Anthony Richardson got hurt last year. Like, really? I got Jonathan Taylor, a top 5 running back. I got Michael Pittman Jr., who is definitely in the top 15, a very serviceable receiver. I got Tyler Warren, who's already emerging as one of the best tight ends in the league because they get in the rock. And I got a defense that's gonna definitely give me more opportunities. 3-0. Houston can't buy you in. Jacksonville can only beat teams that don't know what they're doing, and it's the Titans. Cam Ward is going to be an extremely long year for you, young man, not because you got Coach Callahan as your head coach, because I don't know who your offensive coordinator is. I don't know who your quarterback's coach is. They're not doing you any favors with having you out there running around, because improvising in the National Football League is good for a series. It doesn't win games. So once again, shout out to them Colts with the most normal color scheme you ever seen with a jersey. It ain't nothing to it. Like,
and shout out to the Colts. And shout out to the Colts punting in week 3 for the first time this season after going 2 straight weeks without punting. So they punted for the first time in week 3. That was the longest streak in NFL history, by the way. Let's go to the nation's capital, where the Washington Commanders emerged 41-24 over the Las Vegas Raiders, where Dan Quinn got a bloodied lip and some other skin parts due to his quarterback Marcus Mariota filling in for Jaden Daniels, running into him full speed there on the sideline. Scary Terry, with 74 receiver yards on Sunday. He passed Hall of Famer Bobby Mitchell for 5th in Washington franchise history there for Scary Terry. So thoughts on this game?
Marcus Mariota, just like Tyrod Taylor, just like, we were just talking about Carson Wentz and all these backup quarterbacks is finding a way to get it done. 15-21, 207 yards and a touchdown. You mentioned McNichols 4 for 78 in the touchdown. Marcus Mariota provided a touchdown, as well as Crockett Merritt. Krosky Merritt. So that's 21. That's 21 points just on the ground, right? And obviously Luke McCaffrey, the brother, of Christian McCaffrey, getting in on the action with 3 catches, 56 yards. The Raiders, Geno Smith, this is sad. 19-29, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns, right? All 3 touchdowns went to Trey Tucker. Now, 8 for 145, 18.1 yards a carry. You talk about Brock Bowser, 4 for 38. This Raiders team is in trouble. And the reason why no one's saying it, Ashton Jeanty had 17 rushes, 63 yards. I don't know if he's gotten the end zone this year. If he has, it hasn't been much. We talk so much about the culture that we talk about so much of what they're trying to do with the Raiders. Smitty, it's going to be a long year for the Raiders because Geno, he's a good quarterback. He's gonna put you in good position, but he's not in a position to win games. You're losing to Marcus Mariota. You can look at it any way you want to look at it. You're losing to Marcus Mariota, a guy that hasn't played football, meaningful football in a while. And that's the thing about football that scares you is people saying, man, how do you know that Cliff Kingsbury and company up there and the Nation Capital got a good scheme? Marcus Mariota could just jump in and win a game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's against the Raiders, right? Coach Carroll is by far, I think Coach Carroll is the greatest college and pro. He's the greatest coach ever because of what he did, with the Legion of the Boom, what he did out there at USC, right? This ain't Seattle. This is the Raiders. And I don't care that Tom Brady is part ownership and last week he was sitting in the booth or whatever. Tom Brady don't play football. Tom Brady can't help you no more. But shout out to Marcus Mariota. Shout out to the command. Shout out to Scary Terry McLaurin. Breaking records. In the nation's capital, we're about to get a new. But it's got to scare you, Smitty, when you bring in a guy, Marcus Mariota, who you should be able to scheme up on defense, at least that put him in a bad position, and you didn't. The run game came alive. He was still able to get in the end zone and don't throw the ball to the other team. So whether they're in Oakland or Las Vegas, the same old Raiders. They got the nicest jersey scheme. It's silver and black for those you don't know. But nice color scheme, no culture. Shout out to the nation's capital.
Let's go to Los Angeles, where the Los Angeles Chargers take down the Denver Broncos 23-20, as Justin Herbert, in my opinion, is the NFL MVP through 3 weeks if they were to be voted on right now. The Chargers have defeated all division opponents in 3 games this year. First time they've done that, a 2-game lead atop the AFC West since 2009, where they went 13-3 overall, and that was the last time the Chargers won the division.
Justin Herbert, 28-47, 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Marion Hampton, 19 rushes, 70 yards. Man, listen, my prayers going out to Najee Harris. I saw when it happened.
Non-contact.
Your Achilles, non-contact, 6 for 28. Johnson, 6 for 89. Keenan Allen, 7 for 65 in the touchdown. Bo Nix. This time last year, Bo Nix was putting up really, really good numbers because nobody had no tape on him. 14-25, 153 yards and a touchdown. J.K. Dobbins, 11 rushes, 83 yards and a touchdown. Bo Nix had 8 for 33. Cortland Sutton, 6 catches, 118 yards. This is what's scary about this. Cortland Sutton had 6 catches, 118 yards. R.J. Harvey had 3 catches, 14 yards. That's your second leading receiver. So your first receiver got over 100. Your second leader got 14. That's not variety. That's not spreading the ball around. And I know everybody want to talk about last week when Sean Payton was asking Bo Nix a question, and they was kind of like getting after each other. I like the fieriness. Bo Nix is fiery. Sean Payton's fiery. But just because they had success doesn't mean that's gonna be a recipe for success in the future. I don't know what's going on with the Broncos either. Evan Ingram comes over. He hasn't really helped the offense at all. The Chargers are the scariest team in the AFC right now. They are the scariest team.
I would agree.
Because Justin Herbert is figuring out, as long as I don't give the ball over to the other team, as long as I don't try to make, I know he can stand on the 1 yard line and throw it to the other 20. I don't know why that's even, who cares about, you're not going to do that in the NFL. Yeah. I think having a guy like Keenan Allen back in the offense who understands what he wants to do with the football. You talk about Johnson and company. Mario Hampton is obviously going to get a bigger role. That defense. If I'm not mistaken, I think that Khalil Mack might be out right now. I don't know if it was this game or the previous game.
He is, yeah.
But that defense is going to play really, really solid football led by Derwin James and company. Smitty, it's only 3 games, and you hope they can keep that momentum. And it's not just because this is the first quarter of the season. You don't really know what your team is like until maybe week 4 or 5. But if this is sample size, Justin Herbert is the front runner.
I believe so. I believe they got the Giants in week 4, so I think they're going to be 4-0. Most likely. We'll get to week 4 in just a little bit. The Seattle Seahawks absolutely demolished. I'll say the phrase again, blew the doors off the New Orleans Saints. 44. I just love that phrase, by the way. That's why I say that. 44-13 over the New Orleans Saints. This game was over in the first quarter. Torrey Holton's 95-yard punt return for the touchdown was the longest in Seahawks history, first since Tyler Lockett back in 2015 at St. Louis Rams back in the day there in the Edward Jones Dome when they were still in St. Louis.
When people talk about starting fast, 21-0 in the first quarter, that's starting fast. They just go 17 points in the second quarter, so it's 38-6 at halftime. I don't care who you are, unless you New England, versus my Falcons, you got a shot to come back. I think, this is all up to Sam Darnold, 14-18, 218 yards, 2 touchdowns. Nothing crazy, right? Walker had 16 rushes, 38 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I think right now, 38 yards, 2 touchdowns is because they had already established themselves as being able to say, look, the run game is going to be good enough for us to be able to go out and win this game very easily. Smith and Nigba. Look, Jackson Smith and Nigba is gonna. I think he's the top 5 receiver. I really, really do with what he's doing. But Smitty, Spencer Rattler is doing all he can. 28-39, 218 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Alvin Kamara, 18 rushes, 42 yards. Chris Olave, 10 catches, 57 yards. How many sacks do you think the Saints had on Sunday? That would be 0. And I think for this Saints team, you know how bad the Saints are this year? Ain't nobody really coming at them when they lose. Maybe New Orleans media, Louisiana media. No one's really coming at them. Because now I don't think that Arch Manning, pick number 1 is looking the same these days, but that's another show for another day.
Sorry, yeah.
Seattle and Coach McDonald and what he's building up there is really, it's gonna be scary. We know what San Francisco is. We know what Arizona can be. I think for the Seattle team, you just got to look, continue to play hard. Don't lose any momentum. And if you are the Saints, and at least y'all get to play my Falcons, and it's gonna be a brawl for it all. Then, depending on what happens. But shout out to them Seahawks. It was some big time blowouts. We none bigger than Carolina and Atlanta. But this was really, really close. 38-6 in the first half. The game is over. At that point, you're scratching and clawing to try to get them stats up to make it look like a halfway decent game. But yeah, shout out to them Seahawks.
The Windy City, Chicago, they take down the Dallas Cowboys 31-14. Caleb Williams' best game of his pro career, in my opinion. He is the first player with 225 plus passing yards and 3 or more passing touchdowns in any half this season. And CeeDee Lamb out for the next 4 to 6 weeks, might be going on IR with that ankle injury. And then Trayvon Diggs and Kenny Clark also got hurt in the third quarter as well for Dallas. So a lot of carnage there on the Dallas side of the football. And then Yeah, Caleb Williams sprang out. Roma Dunze, DJ Moore had touchdowns, and obviously Luther Burden, the rookie from Missouri, with that long 65-yard tutty as well. Thoughts on this game?
Dak Prescott, 31 of 40, 251 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Williams had 10 rushes, 76 yards. Ferguson, he probably went out. He had Ivy, the tight end, 13 catches, 82 yards. Pickens, 5 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown. You mentioned CeeDee Lamb went down with a high ankle sprain, going to be out. This was all about the Bears. You know why? Because the Dallas Cowboy defense can't stop nobody. They can't stop the run. They cannot stop the pass. But this is what makes you feel good if you are a Chicago Bears fan, and this what also gets on your nerves. Caleb Williams, 19 to 28, 298 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. No picks. Burton had 3 catches, 100 yards and a touchdown. Aduze had 3 catches, 62 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift, 3 for 45. You know what he was in football? He was confident. I'm talking about Caleb Williams. He was efficient. He was getting the ball to his playmakers. He wasn't being decisive. He was going through his reads because they said that Ben Johnson coaches him extremely hard. He said, "Look, man, I'm gonna treat you just like one of the guys. You my quarterback, but you ain't bigger than anybody, right? We go as you go, and I'm gonna coach you hard." And Caleb Williams has embraced it. It's only one game. Hold on, it's only one game. Let's get week 4. We could be going right back to it, but Ben Johnson is. He looked real pleased with what he saw on the field. And if you are Dallas, if CeeDee Lamb gonna be out, that offense gonna struggle. Because the thing about a guy like George Pickens, they gave him a 1-year deal, and he's a good receiver, he gets lost. He's very, very emotional, and it's easy to take him out of his game. Dak Prescott is giving you all he got, but you know what Dak don't do? Dak can't play defense, and unless Michael Parsons' little brother is coming out, they need that defense is awful. I mean, Dallas defense is awful. They can't stop anybody, and no greater slap in the face. If your defensive coordinator used to be the head coach, and you thought this ain't gonna come at our party. This is just another. So, incredible. I mean, congratulations, Ben Johnson getting his first win as a head coach. Congratulations to Caleb Williams. Showing why people should be very, very, very excited about what he could be. It is only one game, third game of the year, but you're only as good as your next game. But your current game kind of gives us, gives us something to look forward to. So they got to win. Dallas, a healthy Dak with no CeeDee Lamb and no run game and no defense. They're gonna be that has top 10 pick written all over it, if not top 5. It's almost like we've already forgot about week 1 against the Eagles because of what hasn't happened since.
Yep. All right, 2 games left here on week 4, and we'll week 3 rather, and then we'll go to our top 5 games for week 4 to close out the show. San Francisco 49ers get a last-second field goal by former Panthers and Florida kicker Eddie Pinheiro. Good to see Eddie back in the league and kicking for another team. So 16-15, your final score there in Santa Clara. Coming through in the clutch, Eddie Pinheiro, but Christian McCaffrey had his 12th career game with 10-plus receptions, extending his own NFL record for the most among running backs. The second most has just 7. With Sunday's performance, he 2025 became McCaffrey's first season with 175-plus rushing and receiving yards through 3 games, the first player to do so since Alvin Kamara in 2019. But Ben, this game not without carnage, as Nicholas John Bosa, as Richard Sherman calls him, out with a season-ending torn ACL. We did learn earlier today. And it sounds like they are going to be kicking the tires on Trey Hendrickson there from the Bengals to see if they can get him out there in a trade. We'll see if they're able to make that happen. I don't know if that's possible, but they need something now that Bosa is officially out for the season.
Listen, Matt Jones, 27 to 41, 284 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. As you mentioned, Christian McCaffrey, 10 catches, 88 yards. Ricky Pearsall, it's a pretty Ricky, what they call him. Tried to Steve Smith, Senior. 8 catches, 117 yards. And they played efficient. Kyler Murray, 22 of 35, 159 yards and a touchdown. You want to know why? Marvin Harrison Jr., 3 catches, 44 yards. The jury is still out on him. Benson provided 10 rushes, 42 yards. But this, once again, this is about a team in San Francisco finding a way. It ain't gonna be pretty. It's going to take all 4 quarters. Our best defensive player, not named Warner, is out. They still got to win. And if you are Arizona, this is what makes you scratch your head with Arizona, Smitty. It's like, dude, we so close yet so far away, right? Almost still means you lost. And San Francisco, who, quote, has the easiest schedule in international football, I don't like stuff like that, found a way to get it done. This is about San Francisco. Listen, no Brock Purdy, no George Kittle, still got to win. If you are Arizona, you like, dude, we definitely can't beat y'all at full strength. We can't beat y'all without your starting quarterback and your starting tight end and Brandon Ayuk. So this is all about San Francisco. This is all about Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch still finding a way to get it done. Now that Nick Bosa is gone, you're going to have to find a way to get somebody out there. I don't know if you can replace Nick Bosa, not just his pass rushing ability, but just his impact on the team. But you're going to have to make – and if this might be the only way Trey Hendrickson to get his money. And if you are Trey Hendrickson, you're going to have to back up 2 trucks to get me to come out there to San Francisco.
We'll see what happens there. Also missing Juwan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk as well. So a lot of people out there for the San Francisco 49ers to begin the season, and some obviously prior to the season. And then Sunday Night Football saw the Kansas City Chiefs emerge victorious 22-9. The Chiefs over the New York Football Giants there at MetLife Stadium. Head coach Andy Reid avoided his first 0-3 start since 1999 with the Philadelphia Eagles when he went 5-11. In his 4th season with the Giants, Brian Daboll, head coach for the Giants, is 0-3 for the first time in his career. It's New York's first 0-3 start since 2021, but 3rd since 2020, tied for the most over the last 6 years with the other team in New York, the Jets.
Russell Wilson, 18-32, 160 yards, 2 picks. Listen, man, Scatterboo was out there looking nice last night. Terry Rogers, 60 yards and a touchdown, but also was the leading receiver, 6 catches, 61 yards. Malik Neighbors, he's selling milk, 2 catches, 13 yards. You're not gonna win if your number 1 receiver ain't getting his touches. Patrick Mahomes was pedestrian though, 22-37, 224 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, congratulations on your engagement. 4 catches, 26 yards. But this was just about one team being better, the other team not being better. I don't know how much longer this Russell Wilson experiment is going to last. But if you coach the bowl, you're going to have to find a way to get that younger Jackson Dart in there. I mean, I know that I don't like this bringing him in like it's college football. We got some plays for him. We got a package for him. What, 2 or 3 plays and he goes back out? Russell Wilson is giving you all he can. That pass rush last night. But the Giants,
nice.
Brian Browns, Kayvon Thibodeau. Now Dexter Lawrence, they had them double and triple. Abdul Carter, he even got in on the action. But if you are the Giants, I don't know what you're gonna do, because if Jackson Dart does come in, while he's gonna provide a spark, he's still a rookie and he's gonna go through some rookie mistakes, and those defensive coordinators are gonna see how well he can pick up the blitz, how well he can get to this open man, and how well he can pick up man his own. But yeah, you kind of knew that Kansas City was gonna find a way to get the win. The thing about Patrick Mahomes and company, the one thing they developed with the media or the viewing public, we just expect them to figure it out at a certain point, even if you don't root for them based off what we've seen. But they did not start 0-3. And Big Red and Travis Kelce was kind of getting after each other on the sideline a little bit. But that's what they do. They fire.
That's what they do, yeah. And then on Monday Night Football, the Lions and Ravens, as we are recording this, are tied at 14 mid-third quarter. I know the game's obviously still in progress. Any thoughts on just this matchup?
I'm just gonna need Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry to stop playing. I mean, that's my fantasy quarterback and running back. Let's find a way to get Derrick Henry some more touches. Let's find Lamar. Do what you do, rushing and passing. I would love to get a touchdown. We already got no touchdown passing. Just do what you do. Do what you do, Lamar. But if you are Detroit, man, they ain't gonna pull no punches.
Yeah. I like Baltimore to win this one at home, but we'll see as the game kind of finalizes here a little later tonight. All right, so let's go on to our last segment here on Winning the Division, episode 65. Week 4 preview. Let's get it going. Top 5 games to watch from Week 4 coming up, starting with Thursday Night Football. Seahawks, Cardinals kicking off the week, and then a Monday night doubleheader to end the week. Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, Broncos, the games to end week number 4. So top 5 games to watch here in week number 4, and I will also give you my toilet bowl top 5. Number 5, I'm going to go with the Colts Rams. Number 5, 3-0 Colts, 2-1 Rams out there in LA. Can Daniel Jones keep his streak going against a ferocious Rams pass rush? My number 4 on this list, that would be Vikings Steelers from Dublin. I think that's going to be a better matchup than anticipated. That Vikings defense getting after Aaron Rodgers. And I just like the international games. I don't know why. I just do. I don't know why. Seahawks Cardinals on Thursday Night Football. The first game to start week number 4 is my number 3 game on this list, an underrated NFC West matchup. We didn't talk about this earlier with the Cardinals 49ers. James Conner also lost for the season there with a season-ending injury for the Cardinals. So Trey Benson, next man up for the Arizona Cardinals. So shout out to James Conner, and I hope he gets well soon. Number 2 on this list, that would be Eagles Buccaneers from Tampa Bay. Both 3-0 teams. One of those teams can get to 4-0. It's going to be a really good matchup down there in Tampa Bay. See if Baker and the boys can not keep this one as exciting as they've done the last 3 weeks. I think they're the only team, Ben, to win all 3 of their games in the last final seconds for the first 3 weeks of the season. They essentially all 3 weeks coming down to the wire. And then my number 1, Packers-Cowboys, Sunday Night Football, Micah Parsons returning to Jerry's World. That is my number 1 game of the week. And the toilet bowl is Jets-Dolphins on Monday Night Football. There's 2 Monday Night Football games next week, but thankfully they're an hour apart and not that whole Pacific time zone thing. So Jets-Dolphins, the first of the 2 Monday Night Football games, my toilet bowl of next week.
My number 5 was your number 1. It is Packers Cowboys. I mean, look, I think Michael Parsons coming back to Jerry's World. It's gonna be they're gonna have a Michael Parsons cam, they had a Taylor Swift cam. They got a Michael Parsons cam, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think it's gonna be must see TV. My number 4, Colts Rams. Colts are undefeated. The Rams is coming off a big, Rams coming off a loss. The Colts got to go to LA. We'll see how they do going cross country. Them East Coast teams don't do well in 2 things. They don't do them hot weather teams don't do well in cold weather games. East Coast teams don't do well when they got to go across the country. My number 3, Eagles Bucks. Let's do it. The Bucks want to prove they got supremacy, and if you are a guy in Baker Mayfield, you gotta want to show people, look, man, I know the Eagles are the team to beat, but we got something to say about it. My number 2, Vikings Steelers. I think this Vikings defense is better. It's showing what they're willing to do with a guy, get behind a guy like Carson Wentz. And I want to know Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay. Let's see. Because, Jefferson say, look, man, I think I'm better than these dudes. Was that my number 2?
Yeah.
My number 1, I don't even know why. Ravens Chiefs. Look, Lamar, I don't care that the Chiefs are down. You better find a way to keep them down, because if they can get that momentum back dealing with you. And I think that Lamar, when you get Lamar and when you get Patrick Mahomes on the same field, and they got to go to Kansas City, I think that's going to be a really, really good. My toilet bowl game, and there's so many to pick from, but just because I want to see, and I kind of got some interest in this, it's going to be Titans Texans. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me both of these teams coming in 0-3? The Texans are 0-3.
Just like the Jets Dolphins, someone's going to be 0-4.
But what I'm saying is, at least with the Jets and the Dolphins, they both show, even though it's going to be Tyrod Taylor versus Tua, I mean, there was a Tyreek Hill sighting. He was showing the Texans and the Titans. Cam Moore versus CJ Stroud. I mean, Nico Collins, your number 1 versus Calvin Ridley. I mean, this game, and for those who don't know, just like the Saints and the Falcons, or the Falcons and the Panthers, are underrated rivalry, the Titans and the Texans are a huge rivalry, because you got the real team from Houston that's now in Tennessee, and the fake Houston team that's in Houston. I'm just saying it ain't like the old Cleveland Browns that became the Baltimore Ravens, and then the Browns went back to Cleveland, and now Cleveland Browns fans are saying things like the Ravens got all our success. Y'all had 30 years, and y'all still ain't done nothing. Y'all did beat the Packers on Sunday, but yeah, that is my top 5, and that is my toilet bowl. Too many. I mean, because people say, what about the Bills and the Saints? The fact that we pay good money for our cable, even though you can't find no game anymore, and now they got to go to the Saints got to play the Bills. That's cruel and unusual punishment. Whoever make the schedules that y'all do, come on, man. What did the Saints ever do to y'all?
Shout out to former Panthers offensive coordinator who got let go by Matt Rule. I'm not gonna, we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But Joe Brady, now the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, supposedly he wanted that New Orleans Saints head coaching job. He's from Louisiana. And
why exactly? Hold on. And why exactly are we not going down the Matt Rule thing? Why exactly are we not doing that?
I don't have time to do that. I don't have time.
And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy about the Matt Rule thing? For those who don't know, he's still getting paid by Carolina, and he's the head coach in Nebraska. And what's his name? Raiola, the starting quarterback for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Stop saying things like don't be mad at me because God made me look like Patrick Mahomes. No, he did not. He did not make you look like Patrick Mahomes. You just wear red and you got a freaking mohawk. Cut your hair. You might want to look like Pat Mahomes. Anyway, stop it.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, supposedly Joe Brady really wanted that Bills or that Saints head coaching job. And so when they passed him over for Kellen Moore, I look for the Bills to show no mercy this week against the Saints there in Buffalo. And really put it to him. Joe Brady is a former LSU offensive coordinator, and obviously Louisiana has ties down there. So, and obviously he wanted that job pretty badly, and they passed him over. He did interview, but they ended up passing.
I mean, are we going to get a chance to have a show to where we talk about real bad coaches?
Well, we can go for that. That'll be another time. There.
For those who don't know. For those who don't know, in my fantasy league right now, I'm 2-0 first 2 weeks. I was losing, but now, I'm still losing. So, yeah, I want to talk about
Ben's still losing as we are wrapping up here on Winning the Division episode number 65. We'll be back next week with another reaction and preview for week 4 of the NFL season. For Ben Troupe, I'm Ryan Smith. Here on Winning the Division, as we say, you are either winning your division or you are just in your division. We will see you guys next week. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Like, rate, comment. Want to see what you guys think and what we should be talking about. And shout outs. We let us know, and we will definitely shout you out here on the podcast. And we will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.